But come on. If I offend you how I speak, then, I'm sorry. But,
Sorry about your luck.
It's
a personal problem.
Right, and guess what, though? But my personal problems...
No, their personal problems.
Oh, well, yeah. My personal problems could hopefully help your personal problems.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't help your personal problems if you're not going to try and think outside the box. Look around the bush, look over the fence. You're going to try and run through the fence and knock it down and hurt yourself. Whatever. But, if the term sexual relation, see, I haven't pressed the button because he's been busy. I just like saying it. If that offends you, then good God, man, what else offends you? You like a dog pooping in the yard and you don't pick it up, or somebody doesn't pick it up, and you're going to call the police?
Everything should be censored. I think it's maybe this offended generation crap is rubbing off on other people. It's like, you should be old enough, you're not in that.
I don't understand.
Them millennials.
Yeah. These kids nowadays are not sheltered. These kids nowadays, I see kids nowadays that are younger than my kids that are cussing up a storm.
Oh, yeah.
I see kids nowadays that are playing video games that, they're shooting heads off of people. I was sitting in the house one day and there was two guys watching a documentary about a kid who started off killing cats, and then lo and behold, he murders somebody. This is what's on TV. If a few words bother you, Jesus, come on. Whew, okay, sorry, my heart raced a little bit, and I think I need a cigarette.
Especially when you're exposing a bunch of adults to it.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
Because
that's when you've crossed the line.
Oh, because guess what? Adults, good God. How are you gonna tell me that these adults haven't said? I know they don't say sexual relationships. I know there's probably like 6 other terms that they're gonna put in the phrase sexual relationships rather than say sexual relationships. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to go blink you. I'm going to go, you want to go, you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And they've probably said it in front of that person that was offended on numerous occasions. Mm-hmm. But the T-shirt, make them upset.
They're going to walk around acting like it doesn't exist.
I'm sorry. But guess what?
Anyways, yeah, let's...
Life on life's terms. Should we find another topic? Should we keep going? Because I'm sweating. I'm perspiring right now. The warm fireplace, the comfortable robe, the agitation, the frustration. Because that shirt right there, that shirt that was made because of my phrase, not mine, the phrase that was invented on this show. Just being what we do, it's great. Sexual relationship. I think it's outstanding. And you know what? Touche.
And there was another conversation that was had, and this person's not in recovery, and it was like, Chris, I tell people all the time, like when you left treatment for last time, I thought, that's the last time I'm going to see Chris. He's going to die. Chris, you know all too well, as do I and Ryan and people listening that, have family members in recovery. Anyway, I said I was hoping, but I thought Chris was going to die. Oh, my God, you can't say that.
Just did.
Well, yeah, that's what I did.
What's the
and
reality?
There was another person that was right next to me. And it wasn't, well, Ryan was there too, but there was this other person. They were like, looked at me like, yeah, that's what happens. And this person who's not in recovery was like, but that's just so wrong. You got to be a little nicer with that. And we looked at each other and were like, about what? What are you talking about? You can't just say that. Yeah, you can.
Right.
What am I? We're going to sugarcoat it? No, this is what happens. This is not a game. This is life and death.
Right.
I'm supposed to be appropriate now? Like, what is your definition of appropriate? And when you're talking to addicts and people who are in early recovery, hey, you know what? You can go back out and use, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, you're going to make it.
No, you're going to die.
Right.
You keep doing this, you're going to die. That's bottom line. And that's, some people might say, Corey, that's just too much. But those people are people probably not in recovery, people that don't get it. I don't want people to die. I'm not saying, hey, I want Chris to die. I obviously don't want you to die. I didn't want you to die. But you come to terms with it.
It's reality of your lifestyle.
It's a part of this this lifestyle. It's a part of being an addict. It's a part of working in the recovery field. Mm-hmm. I had a sober coach, call me and tell me that he was going to do something to himself. And this is after something else to somebody. And I talked to another sober coach I had in Battle Creek, and he's like, dude, this is what happens. He said, if I tell you all the people the number of people that I lost in my first 6 months of being a recovery coach, you'd freak out. But you have to be prepared to say somebody's going to die. Mm-hmm. You don't want them to die. But guess what? The reality, the 110 point of life is that somebody's going to die. 1 out of 9 people in recovery that leave or go back dies. You know, the number of people that die of overdoses every hour. I forget, it's 145 or 145 a day or something. Opioid or heroin overdoses, whatever.
Yeah.
The number's crazy.
That's only, one part of addiction,
Right, that's just the heroin. That doesn't count with the meth. Doesn't count the alcohol. It doesn't count,
And that doesn't even count, like, suicides, too, due to, that's just overdoses.
Right.
There's a lot of people that take their own lives because
they're
can't. Going crazy, because their life's just falling apart,
right.
And hopelessness, everything. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the number is actually a little higher. It's kind of a low end on the whole deal.
It's mind-boggling. It's crazy, but it's a part of addiction and recovery. People will pass on, but people will also try to move on and get better. But, how many people since Corey and I were in? I think, 4 people have gone since you and I were in, and that's just one place. That I know of 4 people. There was, there's the one guy, and then there's the other person, and then, I don't like to say names, but, because Enemy is a spiritual foundation of the program. But yeah, I know who they were. I remember who they were. I remember talking to them. I remember laughing with them. I remember spending time with them. And guess what? Now they're no longer here because they made the decision to go back out and do what they did. Because it's true. You can't. No, he's going to go out and do just fine. He's going to go out and be good. No, it ain't like that.
And the only one that was offended was the one who wasn't in recovery. And then she was like, just because I'm not in recovery doesn't mean, and it's not bad that I'm not an addict. I'm like, I didn't.
Doesn't mean I don't understand.
Yeah,
I'm not stupid.
I didn't say it was, but I'm just saying, like, don't tell me I have to sugarcoat something about a subject that you don't have to sugarcoat.
Right.
You shouldn't, just making somebody naive, somebody who's looking for somebody to give them an excuse or make it okay, justify it. You definitely have to be straight up about it.
Give me a reason to go out, or tell me it's going to be okay.
Let's all pretend still.
Pat me on the back, give me $100 and say, go ahead and go do this, Say, it's going to be cool. You're going to be all right. We'll see you next week. You got a free week pass. You can come back. Yeah, right.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Not at all.
And that person just needs to get over whatever it is that person needs to get over. And I'm sure that person felt inferior, and that person
just
doesn't.
Not a part of the club or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not a club that. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's not
like
a cool club.
I wasn't trying to say that, and I don't know, but that's.
And wasn't trying to say that they're stupid. They're just not life experienced in this situation. So.
Right. Like, I wouldn't tell somebody how to use their diabetes medicine or whatever, their diabetic shots. I wouldn't tell somebody how to do that. I wouldn't tell you, it doesn't hurt or it hurts. I don't know. I wouldn't tell someone what to do. I wouldn't, because I don't know. But I could read a book and then be like, oh, yeah, this is what you do.
Yeah, right.
But I still wouldn't know. And I think I told that person that they couldn't empathize with us. But see, there's a lot of confusion what empathy means. Well, not really. There's just a lot of people who don't know what it means, and they think they do. But empathy would be something that we all have towards addiction. We can empathize with each other. We know what addiction's like.
Right.
There's people that don't have addictions. There are people that have addictions that don't admit it. They're not aware of them. But we know what it's like to lie to our family, to be that low of the low,
right,
where we would rather die.
I was actually talking to a young lady today, and she said that when she got to where she was, she had just come to the realization that she was an addict back then. She knew in the past few years was what she was doing, but she didn't realize that what she was doing back then, she didn't realize she was an addict, because whatever she was doing wasn't really a problem. But she knows now that back then she was an addict, and she knew that. Just crazy. I had a good long conversation with a young lady today, and because I went somewhere, I went to an event, and she's like, so I assume that you went to this place? And I was like, yeah, 4 times, and and 5th one this year, and so we just talked, related, and just meeting the people, and she said, well, you're doing good, I can see you're doing good, and I wished her luck, she wished me luck, and but just knowing, I can say I was an alcoholic at 18, knew it, because I go, hey, could you buy me a case of beer? Why? Tomorrow's Monday. I know I need something to drink tomorrow. Stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people can't admit. It's like just admitting we are powerless over drugs and alcohol. Step 1.
Yep, it is step 1.
Check.
And the people that don't understand it, just like I don't know what it's like to have children. I don't know. I can't empathize with someone, who has to get up and get their kids ready, whether that's good or bad. I can't. I don't know what that's like. So,
right.
You have to. It's like an example would be like being in the hole with somebody. Like if you're in Vietnam, and I was in Vietnam, I would know what that was like. Now, if I watch a movie about it and was never there, I don't know. I don't know what it was like. I can have sympathy for you, thinking, "Wow, that's pretty bad." I feel bad for you, man. But I can't be like, "Yeah, bro. Like we know, we've been there. We walked through that same river together." I can't, obviously, but that's what empathy is. So
you can feel for them, understand try to understand what happened, because you have no idea what happened. The people that have book smarts, God bless them for going to school and studying that, but they just don't have everything. So when they try to look at me and go, oh yeah, I go, I got you. Mm-hmm. This one time, I got you and your college education, and my street smarts win this time.
Mm-hmm. And that's why peer recovery coaching, the one that's given by the state of Michigan, is kind of a big thing, and that's really kind of taken off, because when people look at me, or people ask me, or they ask you, Chris, or they ask you, Ryan, like, what did you do? Or maybe they just want to tell you their story, and hey, now's not the time to give advice or to tell them what you've been through, but just to listen to them, because we know we have been there, and they know we've been there. So we don't have to go, yep, I've been there. We just listen and go, yep. Yeah. Whereas, some other people are more like, well, why don't you try this? Or
don't get it all,
and you should try this way, or try these 3 steps and figure that way.
And I'm not saying that people, and Chris, you already kind of said it, people that go to college and get this education and learn about psychology and stuff like that, we're not saying that those people are wrong, or that, they're on a different path. Well, they are on a different path.
They just don't think the same. It's, we got a mental disease, and it twists our thinking, so we all, think about it the same way, know what it was like to go through it, and somebody who's just reading like,
book tells them this is what should happen. But us 3 sitting right here, Corey with his drink and me with...
We know what we're all thinking, the same thing.
Exactly. It doesn't matter with being an alcoholic, being a heroin addict, and then, whatever it is. We all know the answer. We all know
cheese
that...
curds?
Yeah. We all know the answer to that question from 3 different sections of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. We all know that answer. We know the first point, and we know what we should do, what we shouldn't do, how we should do it, what we need to do it better. And like I said, bless them for what they do, because they do help people, and they get people started. They get conversations started, and the conversations that get started are the ones that help the people in these facilities and places and teach classrooms to get their conversation started, to get the ball rolling, to get the stuff out of them that they need to talk about. Whew, man, heavens! Sorry, I might have blown into the microphone, but that wasn't me. So I just black out sometimes, and I talk, and I don't know if it makes sense.
But I don't know if that whole conversation I had with that person about me saying that about death or whatever, they die, that's what they do, whatever. I don't know if that sparked Anna's text to me about inappropriateness and being appropriate, and I told her, well, that's all depending on the person and the group. I mean, there's so much that goes into, is that appropriate or is it not? You know, if I would have said that in front of a 4-year-old, yeah, if your mom goes out and uses again, she's going to die. Probably not appropriate.
Not appropriate.